Good Friday afternoon. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Chris Harapsky. Let's get right to your headlines. Happening right now, the state fire marshal and Shakopee fire investigators are on scene at the Renaissance Festival grounds, trying to figure out what sparked this massive fire that destroyed several buildings overnight. Almost a day after these flames were reported, some of the debris still smoldering this afternoon. The video of the flames and the immediate aftermath of the fire is intense. Shakopee Fire says people were calling in reporting what they thought was a large brush fire in the area. One firefighter was hurt by a fire hose, they said, but ended up getting back to work right after getting checked out. What's not clear right now is the exact extent of the damage to the buildings on site. We know that there were 6 buildings that were destroyed, many of them saved by the firefighters' efforts. The event organizer says that Renfest will rise from the ashes.
Yeah, so we'll let the investigation take place, and once that's completed, we'll start planning and figure out where we're going to go from here. We'll definitely plan to rebuild and open in August. Yeah, so I myself have been here for 15 years, and I truly believe there's nothing like it. We have a fantastic community, a large group of people who just truly love the festival and want to be a part of it, and we love them, and we're excited to see everyone back and see what we make of the area that we're going to rebuild.
We have a crew reaching out to those businesses and vendors affected at Renfest. Make sure you tune in KARE 11 News at 4, 5, and 6 for the very latest on this fire. As firefighters work to put that fire out, the steeple of a St. Paul church was also up in flames. Here's a look at the damage as the sun came up this morning. Due to unstable conditions, the Department of Safety and Inspection is blocking off the sidewalks and the street there this morning. But let's show you what it looked like before firefighters put those flames out. You can see in this video the orange blaze shooting up from the steeple as rain falls there as well. Officials suspect a lightning strike started the fire. Officials also telling us the church hasn't been used for worship and no one was hurt. St. Paul Fire Chief says the Red Cross is helping 2 people who were living in the church.
Demanding justice right now. Stop silencing yourself. Stand up and demand action.
An emotional day on campus at Florida State University, where students held a vigil for the 2 people shot and killed in a shooting on campus Thursday. Students there calling for action on guns to stop something like this from happening again. The accused shooter is a student and the son of a sheriff's deputy in that county. One of the weapons found on scene belongs to the suspect's mother, the deputy, and was used as a service weapon. Meantime, we're hearing more from students who were on campus as the shots started firing.
It's just surreal, you know. It feels like it's in a horror movie. It should be out of a horror movie, you know. You just don't, things like this should not happen in real life. And just to see that this is what it takes to bring people together, to bring like flowers, places, to all be one. I mean, Florida State's already a united place, but it shouldn't take a shooting to make everyone feel more, you know, together.
Investigation, of course, ongoing with classes canceled today. The FBI urging anyone with photos, pictures, video from the shooting scene to turn that over to them, and that potentially there could be hundreds of students who were on campus at the time of the attack. That for what they describe as an ongoing and very active investigation. Developing tonight, the Middle East getting further away from peace. Israeli airstrikes hit around 40 targets across the Gaza Strip over the past day, just hours after Hamas rejected an Israeli ceasefire offer that it said fell short of its demand to agree a full end of the war. NBC's Matt Bradley has more from Tel Aviv.
Well, that televised speech from a top Hamas official last night may be the last we're going to be hearing about these negotiations for a little while, these fraught negotiations to try to bring some kind of ceasefire to the Gaza Strip and to free those remaining hostages, of whom there are about 59. More than 20 are still thought to be alive, and to free Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails. Now, we just heard from Hamas. They said that they are rejecting the latest Israeli proposal that would have seen about a 6-week ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, but it wouldn't have guaranteed the Israeli full withdrawal from Gaza and an end to the war, reconstruction of Gaza, things like that Hamas has been asking for the past several months. Now, this is not a change in Hamas's position. They have been asking for this regularly. They say that they're willing to give up all of those remaining dozens of hostages, dead and alive, in return for a full end to the conflict. Now, the Israelis have made it clear that they will not go this route. They want to see Hamas ended. They want to see them either totally destroyed or fully disarmed and not have any role in the future of the Gaza Strip's governance. Those are two positions that are totally at odds to each other, and they've made these negotiations to return to some sort of ceasefire that the Israelis broke back in March. That makes it almost impossible. These negotiations, it looks like, are dead in the water, at least for now. Matt Bradley, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
New today, the U.S. and Ukraine are moving ahead with their deal on rare earth minerals. But Secretary of State Marco Rubio now saying President Trump is tired of waiting for a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia and that it may be time to explore other options.
But we need to figure out here now within a matter of days whether this is doable in the short term. Because if it's not, then I think we're just going to move on from our perspective. That the president feels very strongly about that. He has dedicated a lot of time and energy to this, and there are a lot of things going on in the world right now that we need to be focused on. So this is important, but there are a lot of other really important things going on that deserve just as much, if not more, attention.
Happening right now, Vice President J.D. Vance in Italy for Easter weekend celebrations and to meet with the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni about the ongoing war in Ukraine and Italy's trade relationship with the U.S. The White House is working on trade deals with dozens of countries before new tariffs take effect in fewer than 90 days. New today, the U.S. is planning to impose new port fees on Chinese ships. The fees will be charged on all Chinese-built and owned ships docking in U.S. ports, with amounts based on net weight or goods carried on board. They'll begin in about 6 months and will be rolled out in phases. China says the plan will fail and that it'll raise global shipping costs plus inflation pressures, harming American consumers and businesses. Meantime, some good news for gamers. Nintendo says it will open pre-orders for its new Switch 2 next week on April 24th, and the new gaming system will cost $450. Nintendo had postponed U.S. pre-orders initially planned for April 9th. Nintendo said the delay would give the company time to assess the impact of the Trump administration's tariffs on Chinese imports. Nintendo says the tariffs will impact prices of Switch accessories, but not the gaming system itself. This week marks 2 years since a civil war broke out in Sudan. An end to the fighting is still nowhere in sight and pushing the area into a deep humanitarian crisis. A Minneapolis-based nonprofit is on the ground providing desperately needed help. Alight provides healthcare, nutrition, clean water, and other critical services to the country's most vulnerable. That group is now the biggest healthcare provider in Sudan, even as its staff members face displacement and risk their lives to provide that aid.
Myself, I displaced. I lost my brother for the conflict. It's not easy. It's like everyone else. We lost one of our colleagues in Khartoum, and this is expected to happen at any time. Sorry.
The organization also works in other parts of the world to help people displaced by war and other conflicts. The Minnesota-based Hazelden Betty Ford just announced a big expansion, but the nationwide addiction treatment provider isn't adding new locations. Instead, it's expanding what patients are treated for. Kent Erdahl explains why care for substance use and mental health will finally go hand in hand.
For more than 75 years, Hazelden Betty Ford's mission has remained constant.
Helping people with their substance use and giving them the tools to live their life beyond our walls.
But Rananart says how they help.
Depression, and trauma
is set to expand in a big way.
We're here with new tools for you when life breaks down.
Hazelden Betty Ford is now integrating mental health treatment into every one of its substance use programs.
It's just really redefining the way that we're doing care here. It was a necessity, in my opinion. I think it took us a lot of courage, though, to say our care needed to evolve with our patients.
He says 79% of patients now have more than one treatable mental health condition, a 10% increase in just 5 years.
The pandemic impacted our patients in pretty profound ways. Most of our patients have 2 to 3, if not more, mental health conditions that they're going through.
He says more than half of all patients have some kind of anxiety disorder, 40% are dealing with depression, and 38% are battling trauma or another stress-related disorder.
That's often what's returning them back to substance use. And so if we don't start addressing their mental health in a more comprehensive way, our patients are at risk for undue outcomes that we don't want them to have to go through.
So were you realizing that you were, in some cases, treating the symptom and not really the problem?
To a certain extent, I think. It's really a holistic approach to care. What this effort is trying to get more at the root, help them live a healthier life.
And the new approach will begin the minute patients enroll.
What we've now created is new pathways, essentially. So once we've gone through the screening with folks, we now have ways to better place them into programming that is more specific to their needs and with how we can better treat them.
So if someone comes in and they need help for a certain type of substance use, but also are dealing with anxiety and trauma.
Correct.
There's a pathway that's a little more tailored to their needs.
100%. Thinking about the way that we do group therapy, our individual therapy, psychiatric support, our nutrition, our wellness, our spiritual care, it impacts all of these areas.
This sounds like a pretty big deal.
It's probably our most ambitious change we've made in our 76-year career.
And it's all intended to bring everyone one step closer to that continuing mission.
These are treatable conditions. We have a lot of innovative ways to give people the tools and the hope that they're looking for.
This effort to treat both addiction and mental health is being rolled out as the new standard of care at all 15 Hazelden Betty Ford sites across the country this month for every type of treatment from inpatient to those enrolled online. And as we head to break, got to see this. Check out the new snowstorm moving through Colorado right now. No thanks. This is just outside of Denver, heading up into the mountains there. Forecasters predicting up to 14 inches of snow. Stick with us. More news and weather after the break.